Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's Mayor's Update. As always, we have a lot of important information to share with you here this week, so please feel free to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, and anyone else you think might find this information helpful over the course of the coming week. Just to give a quick roadmap and overview of what's going to be expected in this week's update, we're going to start off with reminding everyone about the upcoming Gardner, Fitchburg, Leominster Tri-City Takeover Day at Polar Park, which is why I'm in the outfit that I am in today. Then we're going to go through a couple of events that are happening in the Chair City coming up in the next couple of days and weeks, and then go over a item that's currently pending before the City Council that seems to be a lot of discussion in the community, but a lot of misinformation out there at the same time. So try to clarify up the main questions that we've been receiving here at City Hall. And then after that, I'll close the update and wish everyone best until next week. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to start off by reminding everyone that tickets are now still on sale for the Tri-City Takeover Day, where Gardner, Fitchburg, and Leominster will be taking over Polar Park for the Woo Sox game as they take on the Syracuse Mets on Saturday, July 6th, beginning at 4 p.m. Again, this is at Polar Park in Worcester. If you haven't been there, it's a really cool stadium, and the tickets are discounted for the Gardner, Fitchburg, Leominster Takeover Day. A Gardner resident is singing the national anthem. The three mayors, myself, Mayor Squaya, and Mayor Mazzarella, will at the same time throw out the ceremonial first pitch to three different catchers. It should be a fun time for everyone who's involved. So if you're looking for a fun thing to do right after the July 4th holiday, it's a great way to get out and celebrate our region down in Worcester. So again, the Tri-City Takeover Day at Polar Park will take place on Saturday, July 6th at 4 p.m. for the game between the Woo Sox and the Syracuse Mets. Our summer reading kickoff was a blast this past week. I really can't thank Director Stephanie Young enough for how much work she put into making that happen. This past Wednesday, there were a ton of people there, a ton of students there. The recreation students were able to pick up their t-shirts. This was something that we changed a little bit last year. Normally, our summer reading kickoff, I'd go to the library and sit down with the kids and read a book. And that was really it. It was just the first day of summer reading. Now, Stephanie, our new director there, has taken it and run with it to make it a full, basically, block party festival in the front lawn of the library. So thank you to everyone who attended, and thank you to everyone at the library, not just Stephanie, but her staff and team over there, for making that a possibility for our students here. It was truly a great success. And we want to remind our students that you can take advantage of the summer reading program at the library, or just the library in general, all summer long. To read, renew, repeat is the theme of this year's summer reading program, and that's exactly what we hope people can do, is just go, relax, read a book, and just enjoy this hidden gem that shouldn't be a hidden gem that we have here in the city. There is a concert at Monument Park on Saturday, June 29th at 6 p.m. Mr. Strickland will be performing a classic rocks favorites. The Bandstand Committee would like to mention that there is also a new online method for donating. The concerts in the park every year are not city funded. They're actually 100% donation funded. On the city's website, follow the radio button that says payments, which will bring you to a list. Look for Monument Park Bandstand donations and follow the instructions that are listed. We hope that you enjoy this season's concerts and appreciate your donations for this popular summertime activity here in Gardner. Again, the donations that are collected through sponsorships at the beginning of the season, and then mainly through the donation bin that's passed around at the concerts, fund those concerts 100%. So the money that's collected goes into making the program that happens for next year. So thank you to everyone who's sponsored, who's donated, and to the Volunteer Bandstand Committee for their time and efforts into making these a possibility throughout the summer in Gardner. As we prepare to celebrate our nation's Independence Day, the PACC fireworks will be held this Saturday, this coming Saturday, June 29th, with a rain date of June 30th. Maximum Recoil will be performing from 6 to 10 p.m. during the day, and there will be a vendor fair at the PACC along with food trucks and the band Point the Finger from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So the vendor festival will take place from 1 p.m. to 5 with the food trucks and everyone there. Fireworks will begin at dusk. The one band will be performing from 1 to 5, the other band from 6 to 10. So there's live music throughout the day, there's vendors throughout the day, there's food trucks throughout the day, and fireworks to end it all. There is going to be extra parking at the Gardner Municipal Airport. And shuttle service will be provided by MART, as is done every year. So thank you very much to the Airport Commission, Isabel Davis, our airport manager, Bruno Fisher and his team over at MART for providing the buses for us, and everyone at the PACC who took this event over from the Kendall Pond Betterment Association last year and really took it and ran with it. So thank you to everyone who's been involved. Special shout out to Emily Liberty, who's the person who spearheaded this whole event and made it happen for us here in Gardner. So look forward to seeing many of you there. In addition to all of that that's happening at the PACC, Whiskey Johnson will be performing at the Lithuanian Outing Association. This event is open to the public, and there is free parking at the Lithuanian Outing Association with no cover charge. There'll be food trucks and raffles. You just have to bring your own beach chair or blanket. And again, the Lithuanian Club is located across the pond from the PACC, so it's another place that you can watch the fireworks that are happening. As we turn the calendar over to Mark from June to July, we want to remind everyone that on July 13th will be the 7th Annual Gardner Food Truck Festival here in Gardner from 12 noon to 7 p.m. The Worcester Food Truck Alliance is the one who's putting the Food Truck Festival on this year. This was something that the city had traditionally run, but the food trucks asked if they could take it over themselves to see if they could make it that much more better. And here we are. The trucks are ready to roll. There will be some vendors set up as well, so it should be a larger festival this year. As always, it's going to be a great time there. It's actually really cool for me to see this continue 7 years later, because I was actually the person who started it under former Mayor Mark Hawk, to see how it's grown from our first festival to now. So again, we'll have more information on that as it approaches the actual festival a little closer to that, but mark your calendars for July 13th from 12 noon to 7 p.m. We want to remind people that as the first week of July is a holiday week, the July yard waste pickup will be the second week of July. So there will be yard waste pickup in the month of July from July 9th through 12th, not next week because of the holiday that occurs there. So Gardner residents, it's your regular trash day on July 9th through 12th for your yard waste pickup, not next week. We'll put something out online too so people remember that, but we want to make sure that's out here right now that there is no yard waste pickup next week because the holiday does block 2 days of the week next week, so that we wouldn't be able to catch up to it on a regular trash schedule. But we do want to remind people that grass clippings and leaves may be placed in a paper yard waste bag or loosed in open barrels with no lid. E.L. Harvey, our trash contractor, has asked that residents no longer use cardboard boxes. There is no limit to how many containers or bags of yard waste that you can put out. Sticks less than 2 inches thick in diameter and up to 3 feet long may be placed out in bundles as well. Yard waste may not include rocks, gravel, sod, or dirt, and any bundles or containers must weigh less than 50 pounds each. If your yard waste is not removed by the end of the scheduled day, please call E.L. Harvey's call center directly within 48 hours to report it at 1-800-321-3002. Again, that number is 1-800-321-3002. MART is proposing a service change for our Gardner routes here, basically taking routes 1 and 2 and cutting them in half. To make a north loop and a south loop. What this will do is change the average time that you're sitting on a bus for a full loop from 1 hour and 10 minutes down to 40 minutes. So it should make it a quicker ride for those looking to get around the city. However, they'd like your input on this. So there will be a public input meeting on MART's changes to the bus routes that will be held on July 10th at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers upstairs here in City Hall. There is a flyer available on the city's website and social media pages, as well as MART's website and social media pages, and hanging here in City Hall in both English and Spanish. There is a Zoom option as well for those who cannot attend in person. So if you're able to attend in person, great. If you'd like to participate via Zoom, you're also welcome to do that. Contact MART for more information. On Saturday, July 13th from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., the Gardner Senior Center will be hosting a mental health first aid training seminar. The cost of the training is $10. A light breakfast and lunch will be served, and you can register for this ahead of time by calling the Senior Center directly at 978-630-4067. Again, that's 978-630-4067, and to pre-register for the Senior Center's Mental Health First Aid Training Seminar. And then lastly, but again, before we get to the topics that we're talking about, we want to remind people that the Woo Sox Tri-City Takeover with Gardner, Fitchburg, Leominster, we've been asked to really make sure that we push that because the tickets are on sale. Smiley, the Woo Sox mascot, is going to be going around Gardner randomly next week, so if you see him around the city, make sure you say hi. But again, next Saturday, July 6th, from 4 o'clock to approximately 7:05 is what we guess, but it is a baseball game, so it all depends on when that ninth inning ends. But again, it should be a great time for us here in the North Central Massachusetts region as the Woo Sox take on the Syracuse Mets. Now that we're done with all the updates that are happening with events that are occurring, a lot of people have been calling City Hall and asking about the proposal that's been put forward before the City Council by a private developer known as Bay State Racing, who is entered into an agreement with Gamma to purchase the horse farm that Gamma owns on Route 140 on the way to Winchendon, formerly known as Andrews Park, LeBlanc Farm, the Carl Doll House. There's a lot of different things that people associate with that property. There's a couple different things I want to clear up because there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. First off, this is starting from a private sale between two private entities. This is not something the city went out and recruited. This is not something the city went out and started. It's something that, under state law, two private business entities can certainly enter into an agreement to sell and purchase whatever they'd like. And that's exactly what happened. However, under state law, the Chapter 128A of the General Laws of the Commonwealth say that in order for a horse track to be put here in Gardner, the City Council has to have a public hearing, and then from that public hearing, vote whether or not to allow racing to take place on this parcel of land or not. It's not to allow X number of days of racing a year. That's for the state's gaming commission to decide. It's not to allow betting to take place on site. That's for the gaming commission to decide. And there's a lot of things that are exempt that are actually out of the city's hands. The agricultural laws of the state say that if you're using a parcel of land that is over 5 acres for an agricultural use, it's actually exempt from local zoning control. So while the region is zoned a certain way, all of the zoning items are exempt for this because it's used for a specific agricultural purpose. State law even then further goes on to say that the keeping of horses for a commercial enterprise, and that commercial enterprise is then further defined to say breeding, stalling, racing, and betting on racing is considered an agricultural use and therefore exempt from zoning. And the reason why the state has explained that is that there hasn't been a thoroughbred horse born in Massachusetts since 2015. So the state is actually emphasizing something like this happening in Massachusetts as a breeding program for thoroughbred horses, on the idea that you're not going to breed a thoroughbred horse unless you can sell it, you're not going to sell a thoroughbred horse unless people can see how it can race, and you're not going to have a race that's successful or people will go to unless you can allow betting on races. So the state has combined all of those things into one and said this is why it's exempt as an agricultural use in Massachusetts, excuse me, because it's all part of this horse breeding spiderweb, if you will, that the state has put together. So that is what's currently before the City Council is, do they allow racing to take place on this parcel of land? If the City Council votes to allow that, the Massachusetts Gaming Commission will come to Gardner and have their own public hearing. Now, the Gaming Commission is the one who has the authority to set the number of days that they race a year, any restrictions on time that those racings occur, if they're even allowed to race at all, the way the horses have to be kept, and a whole myriad of issues that all falls under the purview of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. And that will be done at that public hearing if this gets to that point. The Gaming Commission can set any restrictions, regulations, and anything like that that they want when they give out that annual license. And I want to stress that it's an annual license because if the Gaming Commission votes to give them a license, they have to come back and have that public hearing done on an annual basis every single year that racing is going to be done at the site. So there's constant avenues for community input. The company would also be required to create an oversight committee in which the city would have an appointee to that committee to make sure that the city's aware of everything that's going on. The animals are subject to several different levels of protection at both the federal and state level. The Securities Exchange Commission has to send individuals to go inspect the barns on an annual basis. The Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Animal Cruelty has the right to go onto the property at any time they so choose. Whenever they receive a complaint, to go inspect the property. Security cameras have to be put in the stalls with the horses. There's a lot of different things that are protection layers for the horses. There's a lot of different things that the Conservation Commission can move forward with to make sure that all water sources and environmental concerns are met. The manure actually has to be kept on a concrete slab and trucked off on a daily basis to a site approved by Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. So there's a lot of things that are in place there. But a lot of those things also aren't at this point in the process yet. There's a lot that still has to be vetted. We just haven't gotten to that point yet because in the step of the process, we're at step 1. And a lot of those happen at step 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on from there after the council's done and the Gaming Commission has their public hearing. Just because they're exempt from zoning does not make them exempt from any Conservation Commission controls, any Planning Board controls, and anything like that. However, I do think that the proposal, as it stands right now, and the vetting that we have done extensively on this project for the past month, actually since April 30th, because that's when the request came into the city, is good for the city, and it is something that I am in support of. And it is something that I was skeptical about at first, and I can understand why people could be skeptical about this. But when you do the research and you see the information that's out there, you see the laws that are required to be followed for all of these, and you see the enforcement and inspection measures that are put in place to see how these laws are followed and enforced, I do think that this is a benefit for the city. The economic benefits to the city, aside from all of those protections that I said to make sure that the city's safeguarded in those ways, are that the city does receive an annual payment through a host community agreement. Excuse me. That host community agreement is something that is heavily regulated by law, and it is something that is negotiated between the city and the private business, Bay State Racing. Right now, current negotiations have the city receiving around $500,000 a year for the life of the project. So that would continue. It does go up a little bit incrementally every year. So the city does see an increased benefit every year. And the more they race, the more money that the city gets. That way, if there is an impact, we can mitigate it through those costs and without having something that the city has to pay for. Also included in that agreement is during the process that these individuals will have to go before the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, and other boards and committees for the city, they'll have to provide traffic updates, conservation reports, water studies, and different other engineering reports and studies. They are actually sending the city a check if this goes through to peer review all of those. So the city can go out and get an outside engineering firm, an outside conservationist, an outside group to verify all of the reports that they send to the city, and it's not going to cost the city a dime because they are paying for all of that and reimbursing the city for all of that. Additionally from that, they are set to create 25 permanent year-round jobs at the site, and then about 100 seasonal jobs for racing attendants and things like that come up too. So there is a job creation market there too. So when you look at all of the regulations that are put in place, the laws that are there, the enforcement measures, the inspection measures that are there that protect the animals, the way that the city still has due diligence processes that are still to occur and that we have a lot of strong standing with, and the financial and economic benefits to the city, this is something that I am in support of. And I'd encourage anyone, if you have any questions, you can contact my office, and we can certainly send you to the right contact from Bay State Racing, the applicant for all of this. They are the ones who submitted the request to the city so that they could get this license, so they would be the correct person to contact with those questions, but we can certainly connect you to them. They have set up a website already with information. They have information in the City Council's packet. The city's law department has a full 125-page legal opinion that breaks everything down too. That's available in the City Council's packet of information as well if you'd like to see that. There's a lot of information out there, but it's great to get all of that information out there so that people can see it. However, sometimes we do run into issues where when we put out all of that information, a lot of misinformation also comes out at the same time. So make sure you're getting your information directly from the source. And if you have any questions at all, you can contact Bay State Park directly. We can put you in touch with them because they're the ones who have to answer all these questions, not only for you, but for us here at City Hall. But again, I do in large part think that this is a good benefit for the city and is something that is going to help the city in the long run too. That concludes this week's Mayor's Update. As always, if you have any questions on anything at all, please feel free to contact my office at any time. I look forward to seeing you at the fireworks this weekend, and I look forward to talking with you again next week. Thank you very much, and have a great day.